Thank you, Paris. Thank you, South Summit, for giving us the opportunity of being here today, talking about one of the most important issues of our time, the energy transition. Just a few years ago, the renewable approach was perceived as too progressive, idealistic, if I may. And today it is perceived as the only option, realistic option, for a climate-safe future. The war in Ukraine has put in check Europe, highlighting the risk of dependence on fossil fuels. However, on the other hand, we can see how the renewables may now offer security of supply. So, dear speakers, how can this energy transition address the security of supply? What do you think?
Well, Arantxa, I think the good thing is today, I think we are here in the right moment, at the right place. We have renewables ready to be deployed. They have come down in price, but we have, since they are volatile, we have to make sure that with variable renewable power, we can make it dispatchable and cover 100% the demand in every moment. And currently, this is basically guaranteed by gas-fired power plants. They are our joker, that whenever there is no sunshine, no wind, we can turn on the gas plants, and they will give us the light and hear the music. Now, if we want to decarbonize, and if we want to get rid of the gas power, we have to store renewables and put renewables in storage systems, which fortunately are available today. And these need to give the same services like today the thermal gas plants or other plants are giving. And so I think that is what this session will be about.
Thank you, Michael. Of course, this massive deployment of renewable plants offers a great opportunity for infrastructure construction companies such as Ferrovial. But of course, Ferrovial hasn't been content being a mere spectacle, but has wanted to be an active leader constituting the new energy business. Gonzalo, which opportunities do we see in this energy transition, and which are the improvements that you can think of for managing this business?
Rather simple question, right? I think we all the panelists here, and hopefully some of you guys out there, have this common belief that the need for renewable energy has only increased recently. Has increased because climate change seems to be accelerating and seems to be more evident than ever before, and has also accelerated because of geopolitical issues that have unfortunately occurred over the last year and a half. So that puts countries and individuals at the point of having to make a decision about how much energy to use and in which form is that energy used. And I think one of the opportunities is to have a higher percentage of the total energy used being related to power, to electricity. So more electricity consumption. If that electricity is generated from fossil fuels, then we haven't gained much. So part of the solution needs to be more energy consumption related to power, and most, if not all of that power, coming from renewable sources. That is a journey that in Europe and other developed countries has been accelerated over the last decade or so, but I think we need to see much more acceleration before we reach the goals that we all envisage for, both in terms of climate change and in terms of energy security. So we think the opportunities are not just the ones we've seen, are not just accelerating until now, we think they will keep on accelerating, and that therefore there is room for new players, and Ferrovial has decided to enter that market because we think there is an opportunity and actually a need for new players to fill in a gap that is created by the ever-increasing acceleration of opportunities.
Great. And regarding achieving the goals that Europe has, and of course we are in the context of South Summit, so let's talk innovation. Energy Impact Partners have been investing in climate tech long time before it got popular even. So Klaus, what do you think? Which is the role of innovation in this energy transition and the role of organizations as energy impact partners in this changing scenario?
Yeah, let me build on what Gonzalo just said, and kind of starting with a quote that I very much like in these days. It's from the United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Guterres, who said, talking about energy transition, what do we need? We need everything, everywhere, all at once. And I think that's a perfect quote. It shows how important the energy transition is. And the impact partners, we are focusing on one element in particular, this is innovation. Mm-hmm. Because there is no lack of ideas, there is no lack of invention. I mean, look around here, so many fantastic ideas, so many entrepreneurs. There is no lack of that. What we do have, at least in parts, is a lack of implementation, deployment, lack of commercialization of certain ideas and inventions. And that's where companies like Energy Impact Partners come in. So we are one of the largest venture capital funds in the world focused on the energy transition, Energy Impact Partners, so we're doing impact investments. I think we are not only providing capital to startup companies, we're also providing certain platforms. We're happy that Ferrovial is also part of our kind of community as an LP, because we have a number of important platforms that we can offer to startups. Startups have, with our LPs, meanwhile, generated 2.5 billion in revenues, which is a decent number for many startup companies. And hence, by this tool, we are kind of accelerating basically the innovation part, because innovation is this kind of combination. It's not only the invention, the idea, it is the commercialization of it. And that's what we're trying to kind of support.
Yeah, because many of the technologies that will help us reduce the emissions, today they are at a prototype of demonstration stage. And of course, to scale this hardware solution, because it is not as easy as, for example, scaling up software, the energy business, it is quite intensive in capital. We need, of course, players as investors deploying that capital into these companies in order to arrive on time. So thank you. I have another question regarding the challenges of this energy transition, because, of course, variability and intermittency is the Achilles heel of renewables. Fortunately, there are already some mature solutions in the market helping us achieving and meeting this challenge. So I would like to hear from you, Michael, from Malta Technology, and how this technology can be a key element in the future of energy.
Yes, thank you. Malta Inc. is a startup that has been originated at Google X. Our partners are shareholders are Breakthrough Energy Ventures, Alfa Laval, Proman, Chevron, Piva. And we have focused on the, let's say, one of the biggest challenges is to provide utility scale, synchronous, long-duration energy storage. And as you said, the biggest challenge, let's say, from an idea in the energy market to get to utility scale, 100 megawatts with utility partners financing, that is that you need to find, let's say, technologies which are ready to deploy. And when you all talk about storage, you may be thinking of pumped hydro, of batteries, and only few of you may be aware, let's say, of a matured long-duration energy storage technology that actually was, let's say, born here in Spain and brought to the world, and that is storage in molten salt thermal storage that was developed for concentrating solar power plants, and that was brought to utility scale here by Spanish companies, and of which worldwide 22 gigawatts have been installed and almost 4,000 megawatts. And they are doing service in utility scale here since the first one to 2008, over 15 years. So this technology of storing energy in molten salt tanks, and this molten salt is just a mixture of fertilizers, sodium nitrates and potassium nitrates, which have no degradation. They can live for 30 years, and then you use them as fertilizer. Here in these plants, that was heated by mirrors, and in the last, I would say, 7 years, it has become less expensive to produce, let's say, electricity and even heat by the blue panels, the PV, and not by the mirrors. And so what Malta developed was a way to highly efficiently use renewable electricity from wind, from PV, to charge these thermal tanks of salt. The easiest way would have been to heat them with resistance heaters, but there you would have a 100%, let's say, maximum power to heat, and then some 40% heat to power. You would have an efficiency charge-discharge electricity of 40%. And we introduced there a heat pump, like you have in your refrigerator, in your air conditioning, but only at high temperatures. So we heat up. We introduced there a cold level, that is cold tanks at between minus 60 and plus 25 degrees, and pump heat from there to hot tanks. And so we can achieve an efficiency of charge-discharge of close to 60%. And the good thing is we are using turbo machinery, and with this we have the same flexibility characteristics and grid reliability services as combined cycles, because we are using combined cycle turbo machinery technology, and so we can provide the security of flexibility services the grid needs in the future to keep the lights on, even if the wind or the sun isn't there.
It's not shining. Yeah. So we have the same level of dispatchability that we have currently with the common technologies that we are using nowadays.
Exactly.
Great. And Gonzalo, from your point of view, which is the role of innovation, and what can innovation do for ferrovial energy infrastructure in this energy transition?
Well, we want it all at the same time everywhere. I think the secretary almost got an Oscar this year. But it's true, and I think what he didn't refer to, and we want it cheap.
That's exactly, and for free.
For free is debatable, but at least cheap. And we won't get the deployment of new technologies at a reasonable cost to the users without a lot of innovation. Innovation that has occurred, that is occurring, and that needs to keep on occurring, because we're still not at the level of deployment at cost-efficient point. So that is in general for the sector as a whole. And how that innovation is brought from the laboratories into industrial deployment, that's a long path with multiple stakeholders, as has been referred before. Now, when it comes to Ferrovial, we are relatively young in the sector, so we don't have any assets that we need to worry about. We're not going to cannibalize our own assets. Some utilities may be concerned, if I go this route and I go too fast, I may cannibalize an asset which on my books is still expected to last for 10 years. Well, we're free from that.
Yeah. That is a great opportunity. You have nothing to lose, and then of course that reduces the risk aversion that is always a barrier for innovation. So right. that is a great idea. And Klaus, tell us the secret sauce. Which technologies or startups should we be looking at, or which are the most promising investments that you have in your portfolio? So tell us a bit more about the...
Well, I don't know whether this would be smart to now disclose the most 10 best startups that are on our list that we want to kind of invest into. That will certainly drive up.
We can talk about the type of technologies. Yes, of course.
Now, well, I mean, we are fascinated by many things. We have seen the entrance here. We were just in the booth where Ferrovial showed what generative AI can do. It may look odd to there are people talking about the energy transition, that we also invest into cybersecurity companies. But we do this because security of supply is an important issue, and cybersecurity is one of the big threats to security of supply.
Yeah, and the operational systems, they are not
Yeah.
So advanced in
But
that
when it
sense.
comes to my favorites, I have to say that I'm always fascinated by the potential that we would have with distributed components. I'll just give you just one example, which is in my view a little stunning. In Germany, we have 7,000 megawatts of pumped hydro installed. Okay, this is a traditional thing. Everyone knows that. You also have this in Spain. Everyone knows pumped hydro as a component helping to balance the system. Okay, so if you take in total the energy that is being stored in those 7,000 megawatts, then I always ask that question: how many e-cars do you need for that? So it's roughly 500,000. But we have 40 million cars. 40 million. So we need only 500,000 cars, e-cars, to basically replace the existing pumped hydro fleet in Germany.
That is probably why we have the same, the business unit, energy, infra, and mobility.
Yeah,
Maybe Gonzalo has
maybe
something
that's
already
one of the
in
reasons why
mind.
this then is responsible for both. But what I'm just saying is, I think there is so much value in distributed components, be it rooftop solar, be it electric batteries, stationary, e-mobility, heat pumps, flexible demand, and so forth. We have the technology, we have the communication technology, we have the IT that we can capture, and we've done a number of investments in that space, and this is really kind of excited about it. We have invested into solar, which is a very well-known in Germany, very well-known rooftop solar firm. We've invested into a Dutch firm, Heat Transformers, which is now kind of rolling out heat pumps across the Netherlands, but also reaching out into Germany. We have invested into Instagrid, which is a kind of an interesting solution, because they are replacing diesel generators, small diesel generators that you would use on construction sites to provide a flexible electricity, and they are kind of making use of electric batteries. So these kind of things, investments we did, and they're pretty successful. So we are happy, and we hopefully can give some money back to our LPs.
Yeah, great. So thank you very much. Climate change has put this energy transition in a fight against the clock. We could say that everything that we are doing it is because we are more aware today than we were before of the risk of the climate change, and that is, of course, provoking this speed up of the technology, and then this change in the regulation and in the way that we are approaching the energy sector. So I would like to ask you for an encouragement message to translate this to the audience in order to leave our children a better future, or a clean energy future. So
Shall I start?
please.
I mean, I stressed that point already, the importance of innovation. I think we need entrepreneurs, we need their ideas, we need them thinking about how the future could look like. These kind of ideas need to be financed and capitalized. This is the role that we do have. I would not, at the very same time, discount too much regulatory frameworks that we certainly also need in order to kind of incentivize and make early adoption possible. That is certainly something that we do need. And if I had to kind of express a wish, I've done this a number of times talking to politicians, many politicians, I can tell you, on European level, on national level. It's just about give CO2 a price, give the CO2 emission a price, do it worldwide, give a CO2 emission a price.
I think we have heard that already in this same room several times during the day.
Yeah, which is very important, because then entrepreneurs can kind of develop based on that kind of incorporation of the price tag. I should add in that context that we as EIP, for example, are very much looking into companies that do carbon accounting. We are very interested now in understanding voluntary carbon markets, which is an important component. So that would be my response to your question.
Great. Michael.
Well, I would add another dimension to the energy transition, which we are also, let's say, focused on, and is we need to care for a fair energy transition. And that is, I mean, we are about to close many coal plants, gas plants, and other fossil plants. And I think there is a great chance to give these plants a second decarbonized life. And that is, for example, what we are studying, to use our long-duration energy storage to put at coal plants or at gas plants, to retrofit them. And since they are thermal plants, they are giving jobs to the today operation and maintenance staff and engineers of the coal plants, so that they can have a second decarbonized life, and we can use, let's say, the existing infrastructure, the transmission lines, the place, the permits, etc., of these plants to, let's say, decarbonize our economy and power system for energy transition.
Thank you, Michael. Gonzalo, please.
I was trying to build on what has been said before. Going back to the theme of everything, everywhere, cheap enough, that requires the proper framework and the proper incentives. And it requires individual decisions. So from the very top is how our governments put in the legal framework that is not as much political as is an industrial framework that can be shared by politicians of either ideology and lasts long enough to promote investment, that at the very top level. All the way in how innovators get their ideas brought to market, how large corporates help on that, how venture capital helps on that, to individuals. And that is us, is what choices do we make about how much energy do we consume and what kind of energy is that? There's a bit for everyone. I think some people would prefer the solution to be top-down from a regulatory point of view. Some will say, well, I don't care too much because I'm going to make my own choices. But in the end, if we want this to happen as fast as possible in the benefit of the planet, we could all have a role to play, and we should all be playing a role.
Can I add one?
Yeah, of course.
Something that I forgot to say, because just building on your question. I think I wanted to say something that I don't like in the debate. It is when people, either politicians or whoever participates in the debate of the energy, trying to kind of make this either-or story, discount certain elements of the technology options that we do have, and say, no, we do have to do the energy transition, but without. So we have this funny debate in Germany about kind of phasing out nuclear. Okay, well, I mean, we would have been better off if we still had nuclear.
Now you have coal instead.
We have restarted coal.
Yeah.
But we are a coal country.
Yeah.
But we have not invested, and we should have done that maybe, into CCS. Also something that we've not started to do. So I would say since we need everything, everywhere, all at once, we should really, really not play with kind of certain technology and say, this is not something for the energy. We need everything. We need every investor, everyone contributing, efficiency and so forth, and not kind of ruling out certain technologies, because it's not the ideological kind of, it's not ideological wishful thinking that we're talking about. We have to tackle this climate change. This is the utmost thing that we now have to do, and that's just an addition to.
Yeah, I was thinking that I started saying that this is one of the most important issues of our time. And as you were saying, we need all these technologies, we need them all at the same time. We need the ideas from the entrepreneurs, we need the help of the regulators, we need the politicians, everyone being involved, and of course we need everyone's little step in the consumption in our everyday, as Gonzalo was saying.
I think, Arantxa, if I made just last comment, I would also encourage people that are looking for career opportunities. This is a sector that has been growing and will continue to grow. And whether it's at a very sophisticated engineering level or it's at more hands-on electrical level, it requires a number of skills of which there aren't enough out there. And it's likely that there won't be enough in 5 years' time. So if someone's looking for a career change, or you got people that are thinking, what shall I study, whether it's at university level or at professional services, whether it's in Germany or it's in Spain or it's in Korea, I think this is a promising sector. and we should be doing little bit of call to arms. No, it's come join the sector because there's plenty of opportunity if you're looking for a professional career.
Yeah, and now actually
We can
it's very
fully support
exciting.
that. Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, so I was saying that it's very exciting. The projects are amazing and there are a lot of opportunities. So yeah, it is a good idea to call the audience to maybe look into this sector to develop their careers. So yeah. So that was everything on my end. I would like to thank you for this time. It has been a very interesting talk. And I would like to see you talking about the past of the transition and this new future of energy. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.